Hi guys, DevilHunterXYZ, and I know it's been quite some time since I've done one of these movie reviews, and I gotta say sorry about that because it's been quite some time since I've really seen a decent movie, and I've been busy with other things, and I just haven't had really time to compose a movie review. But this time I took some time to watch the new Ghost in the Shell live action movie that just recently came out, starring Scarlett Johansson, and initially, I kind of went into this with somewhat slow expectations. Considering it's a live action movie, and typically live action movies based off of animes or video games, they usually don't do too well. Like things like Max Payne or Resident Evil or Tekken. Those live action movies, they never really were great. So I was kind of assuming that something like this was going to be similar. Trying to have a adaptation based off of an anime, it was just going to be mostly below average. But I gotta say, this did surprise me because I thought this was going to be nothing more than just like a straight up remake of the 1995 animated movie. But it turns out it's more than that. It's mostly that, but it also includes elements from the standalone Complex anime. So let's take a closer look at it. Well, for the summary, the movie starts out kind of showing that I guess technology has improved to the point where humans are now undergoing cybernetic treatments, or enhancements I should say, where they can enhance their physical capabilities like their sight, their actual strength, their intelligence, stuff like that. And the leading company that does this is known as Hanka Robotics, and it's run by, the CEO of his name is Cutter. And of course it jumps into showing a woman named Mira Killian, who is undergoing the same enhancement, and it is said that she survived a terrorist attack, a cyber terrorist attack, and she's like the sole survivor, and that the only thing that was left of her really was just her brain, and because of it they pretty much revived her by implanting her brain into a cybernetic body, I guess making it kind of a literal ghost in the shell. And of course this whole process that's been underdone was being run by someone named Dr. Ule. Yeah, I think it was Ule. And afterwards, the CEO, Cutter, he wanted to use Mira as part of a anti-terrorist organization. Well, a year has passed, and of course Mira became the major of the Section 9 group, and I guess this point is where the movie starts kind of act like the 1995 anime movie, where we have the entire, mostly have Mira, Bato, and Togusa, and along with Chief Aramaki, just preparing ourselves for thwarting a terrorist attack in the Hanka Business Conference, which they managed to stop. They shot down some guards and some geisha. And afterwards, though, Mira starts experiencing hallucinations, which she explains to her doctor, Dr. Ule. Of course, she just dismisses it, just nothing more, just random glitches that happens to her system. However, though, Mira starts to question about the hallucinations to the point where she's trying to remember her past. And with that, though, she goes... she tries to learn more from the geisha, one of the geisha that she shot down, as the group finds out that the geisha were actually hacked by a hacker named Kuze. And pretty much they were trying to find out where Kuze is hiding out by using a dive, I guess, like a synaptic net dive, whatever, trying to find out where he really is, which kind of leads them to a Yakuza nightclub. And while they're trying to get some information, but things don't turn out great, as it was pretty much all a setup. And of course, the team mostly managed to get out there, but there was some there were some complications to it, where the major was badly damaged, and Bato ends up losing his eyes. And at the same time, Cutter, the CEO, he pretty much was addressing to Aramaki that the major needs to be kept safe, but also needs to be kept in line and not do whatever she can. Well, anyway, throughout the entire movie, you had Kuze, who's apparently tracking down all these doctors and pretty much known people, and kills them one by one. And the movie jumps into a later scene, which again takes it right from the anime movie, where you have two sanitation workers who are being hacked, and apparently they are trying to go after Dr. Ule. Of course, they managed to catch, Section 9 manages to catch up to the two workers. They kill one of them, and of course, Mira tries to go after the other one. And then, of course, a very similar scene to the movie, having a fight in the outskirts in the water. Anyway, though, they capture the worker, they question him, but of course he doesn't know anything. He's been implanted with false memories. But then Kuze hacks into the worker's brain, and pretty much he tries to tell Mira about who he really is and kind of what he's really doing. Of course, though, Togusa manages to track his location to not really sure exactly what place it is, but it was just a place where just a bunch of humans are just linked up together into like a network. And while there, the whole group separates, tries to look for Kuze. Of course, Mira gets to Kuze first. Well, mostly she gets captured, but Kuze then explains about his past, that he was a failed test subject out in the Hanka company, and he was just thrown away, just tossed aside. It says he was just nothing more than a worthless experiment, and at the time he was trying to make Mira question her own existence and why she was even there to begin with. Well, afterwards, Mira goes after Dr. Ule, who gets her to admit that there have been other experiments before her, and that they all have failed the process, and by failing, pretty much being killed off, and that she was the only one who actually managed to survive the whole cybernetic implant process. And then afterwards, Cutter managed to apprehend Mira and orders Dr. Ule to terminate her because she finds her as like a liability and that she knows way too much. But of course, Dr. Ule couldn't do it, and she lets her escape. And I guess off screen we see that Cutter actually kills Ule, and that he's kind of blaming Mira as the one who killed her, and that she's gone rogue. And of course, at the time, he's kind of in charge of trying to take down the rest of Section 9. Well, through the lead of Dr. Ule, Mira goes to an apartment complex, and while there she meets a widowed mother, telling her story that her daughter Motoko ran away from home, got herself arrested, and ended up committing suicide. But I think the mother really never believed that truth whatsoever. But anyway, I guess unable to really process anything, how her emotions, whatever, Mira leaves, and I guess through eavesdropping, Cutter finds out the members' locations of Section 9, and one by one tries to take them down, but luckily each of the members managed to survive their encounter. And then Mira goes to a place, again through her hallucinations, she finds the same hideaway place, and while there she meets up with Kuze, and then they both remember that it was the place that they were hiding out from Hanka, from being cybernized, I guess. And I guess the truth at that point had been revealed that Mira was actually Motoko Kusanagi, and that Kuze's real name is actually Hideo. And yeah, of course they try to reconnect. Kuze tries to get Mira to join him, to try to, I guess, preserve their humanity. But at that time, Cutter then, through the help of a spider tank, tries to go after Kuze and Mira in a very similar fashion to the ending of the anime movie. Has a all-out firefight, and of course Kuze gets badly injured, and then Mira pretty much loses her arm. She gets badly damaged, but she manages to take down the spider tank, and of course both are pretty much in bad shape, Kuze and Mira. Kuze then offers, though, to have his ghost merged with Mira's body, and of course that happens right. And of course, right afterwards, though, Kusei's body gets destroyed, and while there, though, I mean, Bato manages to recover Mira, and Aramaki meets up with Cutter to try to arrest him, but of course he fights back, and then through the consent of Mira, Aramaki executes Cutter. And I guess it jumps to, I'm not really sure, maybe it jumps to like later in the future. We see that Mira visits the same gravesite where Motoko was, and I guess at that point she reconnects with her mother, finding out that the widowed woman was her mother. And at that point, she kind of goes off to continue her work with Section 9, embracing the name Motoko Kusanagi. Well, for the pros of the movie, one thing I can say right off the bat, comparing it to the 1995 animated movie, it has the same atmosphere, kind of going for a cyberpunk feel for it, where we have the city that's kind of mostly futurized, with highly advanced technology, and then you see, highly developed buildings and billboards that are animating throughout the entire city, which it was pretty impressive. I do admit that. And then of course they actually took time to incorporate like slums, like low level parts of the city, or you see potential crime every now and then. So I am pretty grateful that they actually managed to replicate that. Another pro, I would say, is it kind of taking some of the scenes from the animated movie and transitioning them to a live action setting. I mean, it actually worked pretty well, to be honest. I mean, like the kind of the start of the movie where they're infiltrating the business conference, that was very similar, and then the whole situation with the sanitation workers, attacking. Trying to attack the doctor. I mean, that was another pretty close example. And of course, even the ending fight against the spider tank, that was very similar too. Yeah, so I kind of like that they mostly pay tribute to the source material. And then the third thing, well, the third thing I really would say as a pro is probably the plot. Well, I mean, I guess the understanding of the plot, because in the animated movie, it was more diving. It was kind of more diving into more, slightly more complex issues, kind of going to like politics and whatnot. And I guess maybe first-time viewers probably wouldn't understand too much of it. And I guess maybe they feared it would have been the same case here. So it's kind of more of a somewhat of a condensed plot here, but it's more easier to understand. Which, I mean, I guess that's a good idea for those who had never even known Ghost in the Shell to begin with. Well, for cons of the movie, I guess, first of all, maybe adding to the controversy a little bit is the whole whitewashing. And by that I mean like having white American actors and actresses portraying Japanese roles, and of course, Ghost in the Shell is obviously a Japanese anime. It would have made sense to have Japanese people playing this, but I mean, I'm just kind of saying, not to really go into a whole racial thing, but it's just like 95% of this movie was like straight up Japanese. I mean, like you have streets and signs and stuff like that all in Japanese. You have like the whole, pretty much almost every resident that you see was mostly Japanese. And even like Chief Aramaki himself is Japanese. I mean, he speaks nothing but Japanese, but yet everyone else understands him. Everyone else who just speaks English. Yeah, but I just kind of find it strange that the main characters, though, Mira, Motoko, she's just portrayed. I mean, obviously being played by Scarlett Johansson, an American, is just. I guess it's just a little bit strange, and you had to get used to it. But I just don't think it really takes away too much out of the movie. Anyway, second, I would probably say an issue was probably the fact that there's not too much action, which is kind of strange, because usually Ghost in the Shell was kind of more of an action-based, I guess an action-based anime, manga series, but it really wasn't much of that here, so I don't know, it just kind of felt a little bit kind of on the dull side between action scenes. And I guess the third problem is the fact that there's, I guess, too much into this movie. I guess they're trying to add additional stuff that wasn't in the 1995 animated movie. Because they were trying to combine elements from the second season of the standalone Complex anime. Like having Kuze in there. Yeah, Kuze was in the second season of the anime, but of course, Kuze there in the anime, he was more just trying to fight against the political authority, becoming like a symbol for the refugees. Here in this movie, though, he's just being portrayed as a failed test subject who's trying to preserve his humanity, and I guess trying to go after the people, who pretty much kind of regard him as just nothing more than a failed experiment. So I kind of find it strange why they changed roles that way, because in the original 95 anime, he was just known as the puppet master. That was it. He had no relation to Motoko whatsoever, and so adding the whole relation to this movie just kind of seems a little unnecessary. And along with that, I would say also kind of having Motoko question about her past and about her humanity was just, I just don't think it was necessary as well. I mean, she never questioned, in the original 95 anime, she never questioned her humanity, not really until the very end of the movie anyway. I mean, she just did what she thought she had to do, really, She never really questioned where she came from or who she is. But it's just, this movie kind of takes a lot to dive into that, and also at times kind of gives you straight up information about Motoko, about how she was, like who her mother was, or how she used to live and stuff like that. So it just kind of loses a little bit of meaning when they kind of give you all the information like that. Well, overall, I would say Ghost in the Shell, the 2017 movie, I mean, it was kind of a different take on the whole lore of Ghost in the Shell itself. And, I mean, it's kind of hard to really live up to the anime and the manga, which were pretty successful on their own. This movie, I would say this is kind of more of a movie that has like I guess an alternate continuity, if you want to think about it that way. I mean, it's not the exact same thing as like the 95 movie, but it's like you were trying to combine elements from like all the different media out there. I mean, like the movies, the anime series, and what, I guess in times even similar to Ghost in the Shell Arise. And I kind of find it was pretty interesting because of trying to take elements out of that. And I mean, I guess at times, trying to know more about Motoko or Mira's past was kind of interesting, because it was actually something I guess a lot of us were questioned about, because they never really explained in the anime or the manga itself on how she became the major and how she lived her life the way she did, and who really is Motoko Kusanagi. And it was kind of something we were always questioned about, and I kind of find it interesting that they try to really explain it here. But I don't know, maybe it would have been left maybe unsaid. But either way, though, this whole movie itself, I would say it's actually not too bad. It's pretty decent. I would probably, for a final score, give this a 6 out of 10, and saying that I would say it's actually worth your time. I mean, it's not the greatest movie, but it's not like total garbage, what some people are trying to make this out to be. It's like kind of almost close to the middle of the road right there. So it's really your choice whether or not you want to kind of go through this alternate lore, alternate continuity, and try to maybe get some a different take on Ghost in the Shell itself. Well, this is DevilHunterXYZ, and until next time.